Hi, I'm Mike Meliti, Division Manager for Wine Guardian. Today we're going to talk about our split system cooling unit, specifically designed and manufactured for wine cellar cooling. The system really rounds out our product offering for wine cellar conditioning between our through-the-wall systems, our self-contained ducted, both our air and water-cooled versions, our humidification units, and now our split systems. It really gives us a full package for all of your wine cellar cooling needs and humidification needs, conditioning needs. As you can see right here, we have our fan coil section of our split system. And the split systems really offer the most flexibility for the application, because we're dealing with two parts here, our fan coil section and a second part, which is our condensing unit, which is a remote device that can be placed outdoors typically or indoors. It really gives the most flexibility to the application and the installation. Let's go over some of the features of the fan coil section, part that we manufacture in upstate New York. As you can see, the system here is supplied with a duct collar for supply. Each of our units comes complete with a supply duct collar attached to the unit, as well as a return duct collar attached to the unit on the back side. The cabinet is all aluminum construction, which makes it lightweight and corrosion resistant. As mentioned before, with our ducted units, you can see the multi-panel configuration. This allows us to move duct collars to the side of the unit, to the top of the unit, end of the unit, wherever is required for ultimate flexibility in the application process of the unit. The system can be placed inside the wine cellar if need be. It can go above the wine cellar, below the wine cellar in a crawl space, or in a mechanical room right next to the wine cellar. The system that you see here, we mentioned the multi-panel configuration. There's also a knockout panel at the bottom of the unit, so it gives you 5 places where you can take ductwork from the unit itself and deliver that air to the wine cellar, or cabinet for that matter. We haven't talked about cabinets too much, but our smaller size system could be ideal for a cabinet type application. You can see our standard control panel configured here at the side of the unit. All of our controls, all of our connections are on one side of the system. We have our COM port 1, COM port 2. These are for connection to our control devices, whether they're the remote interface controllers or the remote sensors. Easy plug-and-play type connections for our controls. Your on-off switch, your humidifier connection. As with our ducted units and our through-the-wall systems, we can connect our integrated humidifiers right up to the side of our fan coil sections and add humidity to the space when needed, and control humidity when needed. And then you have your standard power cord connection. This particular unit is 115 volt, which plugs into any standard outlet. We want to point out that that should be a dedicated circuit, so as to not cause any interruptions with power and cause the unit to go down for some reason. See your piping connections centrally located toward the side of the control panel. These will be piped on site to the condensing unit. And then your drain port connection on the other side of the unit, which will take away any condensate that's generated from the cooling process. It's internally trapped, so when making connections on site, the unit does not have to be elevated too much off the floor, and the drain should not be externally trapped. As mentioned in our with our other systems, it can cause issues as far as water leakage. That drain can be taken to a condensate pump, open floor drain, open sink, any place where we can just take water away from the unit. Along with our main control panel, you'll see a terminal strip here. This is 24 volt control wire from the fan coil section out to the condensing unit. This is a key feature, and your installer will be looking for this to make connections when they're doing the installation. Similar to our self-contained ducted units, our fan coil sections include high static pressure fans. This gives you the ability to connect ductwork up to these sections and extend that over to the wine cellar, both supply and return. On our SS025, which is our quarter ton, up to our 1 ton systems, you have the ability to connect up to 25 feet of flexible ductwork. So the system should be within 25 feet of the wine cellar itself. You can go beyond the 25 feet if we interject some rigid ductwork. Beyond that, booster fans just to keep that airflow moving. But we rate those for 25 feet. Once we jump up to our 2 ton unit, our SS200, we can go up to 50 feet of flexible ductwork. It's more of obviously a robust system for larger cellars. We can go up to 50 feet using flexible ductwork, or beyond that, again, using rigid ductwork. Ultimate in flexibility here, as I mentioned, can be placed almost anywhere within the wine cellar. It can be hidden behind a nice wooden facade, up on racking, or alongside the wine cellar in a mechanical space. The system also contains coated coils, which is standard across our product line. It's an E-coated coil, which helps the longevity of the system. You should be seeing 10 plus years of life out of the systems. The other piece to the split system is our condensing unit. The condensing unit comes from the factory complete with an outdoor housing. So it's not an option, it's part of our system. So the system can be placed outdoors, it can be placed indoors if need be. The operating range for the condensing unit and the system in general is from 0 degrees Fahrenheit up to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Has low ambient protection as standard offering, standard equipment, as well as high ambient, standard offering. I want to point out that the condensing unit ships with a filter dryer as part of a complete package. It has commercial grade items such as a sight glass for observing the levels of refrigerant, manual reset high pressure switches, low pressure switches to protect the compressor and the refrigeration circuit, 24 volt contactor for control of the fan coil unit as we talked about, crankcase heater, and as standard fare an outdoor enclosure which can be used for mounting the system outdoors, but as I had mentioned, it can certainly be used for mounting indoors as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be mounted outdoors. The enclosure is standard where others offer that as an option. Our standard remote interface controller ships with each unit. This mounts within the wine cellar, and 50 feet of power cable is supplied with the system. This should be routed through the walls to the desired location of the controller within the wine cellar, and then plug back into either one of these COM ports will do. We've given you 2 here just for added flexibility if you have a remote sensor. Up to 3 remote sensors similar to our ducted units can be connected to the unit, and our control system will average those temperatures. I want to point out that power is required for the fan coil section in itself, and we'll also need power to the condensing unit. Typically, you'll have to follow local codes, but it is primary power with a disconnect switch. We also offer a contactor as part of this package, which helps make the connection between the 24 volt supply supplied at the fan coil and the condensing unit itself. That comes complete with our split system package. The 24 volt contactor control box is supplied with the split system from Weingarten. So you will be supplied with this control box that should mount in close proximity to the condensing unit in an outdoor enclosure as we've provided here. And essentially this is the control box which will take your 24 volt from your fan coil unit and your primary power to your condensing unit. So you want to make sure that you have this and have located it. It should have been supplied with the Weingarten split system, and you will need this for proper installation. Removal of the panels is easy. There's 4 screws that holds each panel in place. They're all the same size, so you can mix and match, move panels from one area to another if need be. And move this panel up on top. As you can see, some of the internals of the unit. You have our motorized impeller fan, our high static pressure fan. It's really not much to it. It's a fan coil section. The fan shroud. I want to point out that our control panel, our main control panel, is easily accessible, easily serviceable. There's only 2 screws that hold this in place. If the technician needed to change a main control board, basically a matter of removing these 2 screws, sliding this whole assembly out, and replacing that board. He doesn't have to take the top off or any of the panels out. It's pretty simple. All corrosion material, well insulated construction internally. The complete assembly is insulated, galvanized metal and aluminum construction. Turning the system around, you can see the return duct collar as provided with the units. For the quarter ton, requires an 8-inch round. For the half ton and 1 ton, again, our standard 10-inch round. And the 2 ton goes up to 12-inch round duct collar supplied with the unit. The systems as a whole are ETL labeled to UL standard. So the system, both the fan coil and the condensing unit, have those labels to an ETL and CSA standard. You can see the coated coil as part of the design and the all-aluminum construction. I talked about the split system being the ultimate in flexibility. It's probably the quietest system that we manufacture. The fan coil unit, fully ducted, is extremely quiet, especially mounted outside of the wine cellar, above or below. You're dealing with flexible ductwork to and from this unit, and all you're seeing inside the wine cellar would be supply and return grills and hearing maybe some air noise. There's no compressor, no condenser. All of that equipment, mechanical equipment, is mounted out away from the system with just interconnecting piping. Some of the options that are available with the split systems are an integral heater, ranging anywhere from a 1 kilowatt up to a 2 kilowatts of heat that can be added to the wine cellar. For areas where the wine cellar would require heat at some point in order to bring it back up to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, a heater is an option that can be installed into our fan coil sections at our factory. It should be noted that you will need to know that at time of order. But it certainly is an option that many of our competitors don't have.